The history goes back a long time when the Nez Perce were originally, this was their homeland for my wife's side of the family. It starts in the end of the 19th century when they homesteaded in this area. My name is Ian Wilson. I'm a project coordinator for the Grand Ronde Model Watershed. My connection to this land really goes back to when my wife and I moved up here from Central Oregon. I had access to this river corridor behind our house, and I started to fish. It was just this time to discover myself and this landscape. So for me, this is about as spiritual as it gets, as far as just a place that was a place for self-reflection and identity, but also a connection to the landscape. And I learned that through fish, which has always been something that's really important to me. The Wilson Hahn project came about, I would say, early on as I was learning to fly fish on this property and really enjoying this environment. I immediately, even back then, noticed that what was some of the things that were missing for good fish habitat. I knew there was a possibility to do some restoration work. In the spring of 2019, I started a conversation with a friend of mine, and we started planning to do some restoration work here. Eventually, we hired a design firm, and then it evolved into something much larger. We explored, and then it finally ended up implementing a technique that's commonly known as a stage 0 restoration, where instead of digging new channels, you can actually take the kind of rock and fill, just like what you see around me here, and you can fill the channel up with that, kind of a matrix of rock and wood. Another technique that we used that was kind of a little bit of a more novel approach to restoration, installing beaver dam analogs and building post-assisted log structures, so smaller wood structures that are meant to mimic what beaver dams do, which is store sediment, which stores carbon, but also inundates floodplains. It creates all kinds of amazing fish and wildlife habitat. By restoring these reaches, you have these connected areas where wildlife can move, whether it is black bears, or it's those migratory birds, or it's amphibians, or fish. They can move in between these kind of connected habitats that are functioning at a higher level. Having that richness and diversity is really important for ecosystem function, for things that are important to humans, as far as clean water cycling. There's also a lot of carbon storage that you get with these projects, so it's really helping to offset some of the other negative impacts we're seeing from climate change. These projects oftentimes motivate your neighbors to consider doing restoration work if they can see what it looks like and what some of the benefits are. You can build something and you can say, there was nothing happening here before, there were no fish spawning, and you can sometimes within weeks, and you might see a fish moving in or getting ready to spawn. That is extremely encouraging to me. I want it to be about what the world is and what the world can do with our help. And I think that's what gets me really passionate, is the natural world.